I said, itong presidency, makinig kayo mabuti ha, sa Saranawe. I will do it even if I lose my life, my honor, and even the presidency. Gagawain ko yung pinangako.
During his campaign, President Duterte vowed to end criminality, illegal drugs, and corruption within just the span of 3 to 6 months. But 4 years after,
I have promised the nation that I would dedicate the last remaining months of my stay in the office of the President going after corrupt people. Do not expect me to entirely clean, as a pristine, clean bureaucracy. That is impossible and cannot really be achievable.
our president admits that eradicating corruption is impossible. It has been reported by Transparency International that corruption worsened in the Philippine government of 2019 as it ranked 113th of 180 countries studied on their perceived political integrity, where previously we ranked 99th on 2018. On a scale of 0 to 100, with 0 as highly corrupt and 100 as very clean, the Philippines has obtained a score of 34. This indicates that the country continues to struggle to tackle corruption. The issue of corruption has been withstanding for so long. Is it really that difficult to extract corruption from the Filipino nature that not even our Mr. President Duterte could fulfill his promise to end the problem? Let's talk about this.
Corruption is a dishonest behavior by those in positions of power, such as managers or government officials. Corruption can include giving or accepting bribes or inappropriate gifts, double dealing, under the table transactions, manipulating elections, diverting funds, laundering money, and defrauding investors. There are 3 types of corruption. Number 1, malversation of public resources. Our public resources include not only money, but also time. Senators, congressmen, and other public officials could misappropriate millions or even billions of public money for their own interest.
We're talking of the people's money. Can I emphasize, please? We are talking of the money of the Filipino taxpayer.
Furthermore, they can also misuse the hours or years they are supposed to be utilizing on meaningful actions. Next is the abuse of power and authority. Not only do they steal the money and misuse the golden time of our country, but they also abuse the power and authority vested to them by the people and by the Constitution. It's unlawful for public officials to use their authority for making or favoring government contracts that are only for their self-interest rather than the interest of the public. The law also prohibits public officials and employees from accepting material gifts from any person or organization in exchange for a grant of government permit or license. Last is tax evasion. Corrupt politicians steal or misappropriate our public fund, but tax evaders are stealing the public money before they can even reach and enter into the public fund. Taxes are for the public, and not only for any private individual to keep.
The political and economic system, professional ethics and morals, and of course attitudes, customs, tradition, and demography are all common causes of corruption. In the courts, favoritism and excessive interference are common, resulting in time-consuming and unequal dispute resolution, as well as an unpredictable business environment. The lack of a respectable justice system is the root of corruption. Philippine justice is untrustworthy and the majority of Filipinos have lost faith in it because it is unable to uphold the rule of law against influential figures and powerful corrupt government officials. Government corruption is rooted in the delay of justice. By the time the DOJ catches up with influential criminals, they've already fattened their bank accounts and pockets, and the eyewitnesses against them have died, been abducted or murdered, or have developed Alzheimer's disease or have fled to other countries.
Effects of corruption. First is poverty and inequality. Corruption affects the nation and harms the poor more than anyone else, since the funds allocated for the financial assistance and programs are being consumed by the corrupt government officials. Second, economic loss and inefficiency. Bribery, fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion could result in a decrease in the country's GDP, and this would result to economic loss. Economic inefficiency occurs since bribery happens. People who are unqualified could easily be accepted. Third, failure in programs and projects. Taking advantage of the funds allocated for the state's programs and projects would normally end with unsuccessful activities. Lastly, public cynicism. The Filipino people would lose trust in the administration. Then, protests will occur since the public would demand accountability among the leaders of the nation.
In hopes of combating the problem of graft and corruption, the government employs several legal measures and anti-corruption bodies. First and foremost is the 1987 Philippine Constitution. Article 6 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, titled Accountability of Public Officers, states in Section 1 that public office is a public trust. Section 2 of the same article states that President, Vice President, members of the Constitutional Commission, and the Ombudsman may be removed from the office from impeachment for bribery and graft and corruption. The lawmakers of the country also mandated and established anti-graft laws. The RA 3039 or Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, in line with the principle that a public office is a public trust, enumerates all corrupt practices of any public officer, declares them unlawful, and provides corresponding penalties of imprisonment, perpetual disqualification from public office, and confiscation or forfeiture of unexplained wealth in favor of the government. There is also RA 2080, the act of defining and penalizing the crime of plunder that basically penalizes any public officer that commits graft or acquires ill-gotten wealth. There are also presidential decrees to guide the administration in avoidance of corruption. Number 1. Presidential Decree Number 46 declares it unlawful for government officials to receive gifts and for private persons to give gifts on any occasions regardless of whether the gifts is for the past or future favors. It also prohibits entertaining public officials and their relatives. Number 2 is Presidential Decree Number 677 requires the statement of assets and liabilities to be submitted every year. Furthermore, there are also constitutional anti-corruption bodies such as the Office of the Ombudsman, Civil Service Commission, Commission on Audit, the Sandiganang Bayan, Department of Justice, National Bureau of Investigation, Philippine National Police, Presidential Commission on Good Government. Organizations and individuals have also taken part in mitigating corruption such as the Philippine Public Transparency Reporting Project, established in 2010, aiming to widen the public participation and involvement in fighting corruption. It is built on the belief that corruption in public life will only ever be reduced when ordinary people are able to understand, monitor, and ultimately have say on where and how public money is spent.
As previously reported, the Philippines actually has several laws and governing bodies to monitor graft and corruption in the country. Therefore, the lack of legal measures is definitely not a cause for the continuing corruption in the Philippines. If it isn't the law that is at fault, then the root problem is unquestionably the people governing the law. Something about the Filipinos' culture is an impediment to the anti-corruption efforts, an example of which is the Filipino culture of gift-giving. In a way, this justifies bribery and extortion, thereby making it hard for law enforcement and anti-corruption agencies to arrest the problem. We need educated people to properly enforce the law. The issue of corruption is important for us future accountants as we are the next generation consolidators and auditors of business organizations and of the government. We wouldn't want ourselves to be caught up in such an unethical practice. As early as now, we were taught of faithful representation as a fundamental quality of accounting, yet it is discouraging to see that even the sole government that we look up to simply neglects this practice. We must enforce our right to information and demand our government for full transparency in financial reports and statements to finally end this cycle.
That is the problem with this country. We're all for honest government, and yet the world condemns us as one of the most corrupt countries.